Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Drivers Lounge. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to get started in karting. How to get started in karting is a question that is asked a ton. And so in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to get started into karting and everything you need to know. First, we'll talk about the class breakdown. So classes are determined by age, weight, and motor package. But right now, we're not going to quite focus on the motor package. We're just going to focus on the age. So you have kid karts. This is ages 5 to 8. Cadet ages 8 to 13. Juniors 13 to 15. Senior 15 plus. And masters 35 plus. Now, these classes could change a little bit based on the series you're running as well as the engine package. But this is kind of the standard. As for weight, each class has a minimum weight that the driver and the kart must make at the end of the race in order to keep everybody equal. So you'll find the class that your age, fits in, and then you will use ballast weight if needed to make the minimum weight. For today, we're just going to focus on the 4-cycle package, better known as the 206, just to keep everything a little bit simple. And I also feel that this is the best entry motor into karting. So, what do you need? First, we're going to start off with the Briggs 206 motor. As you can see here, there are tons of different motor builders out there. This is a Lawson motor, but there are tons of motor builders. There are used motors you can buy, out-of-the-box motors you can buy. Just find one that fits in your price range. No need to spend unnecessary money right off the bat if you don't even know if you're going to enjoy it. So, highly recommend picking up a used product to get started. Chassis. This is one of the most debated topics in karting about what is the best chassis, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit more in future episodes. But for right now, we want to make sure that you have the right size chassis. So you have kid kart chassis. These are the smallest. Then that goes into cadet, a little bit larger, and then junior, senior, masters will all run full size chassis. Some series allow for the kid karts to run a cadet size chassis. I would just do a little bit more investigation and research before you purchase a chassis based on whatever series you're going to run. Now, here are your chassis manufacturers. Now, there are even more than this, but this is kind of where your top 20 looked like at CK&A Grands a few weeks ago in the senior categories. So, we'll kind of briefly talk about them a little bit, but this is something that I'm really excited to go further in depth about in future episodes. So, the top 3 here are your most well-known chassis manufacturers kind of all over the world in 2-stroke, 4-stroke, whatever that might be. OTK, Burrell, CRG. Now these two right here, OTK and Burrell, they both have multiple colors. So in OTK you have your Tony Kart, which is green, your Cosmic, which is purple, your EOS, which is like a light blue. They used to have an Esprit, which is orange. They have the Gillard, which is like a grayish black, the Carlos sign. So all of these are the same exact chassis, just different colors. And then you have the same thing with Burrell. The Burrell being blue, the Charles Leclerc being black, the Ricardo is blue, but I think it has a new name now. The Kubica, which is orange. This is all the same chassis again, just different colors. Then you have your CRG, which is black. It just has one color, but these are your most commonly ran chassis, in my opinion, based on, worldwide. In this next row right here, we have our American-made chassis. These are really, really popular in 206. These are all 206 only chassis. You won't find anybody running like a KA on an MGM, but these are all very popular, very common, and they're proven to be quick. The factory kart is also an American-made chassis. There's a 4-cycle, 2-cycle product. The GFC is also, I believe, American-made, but it can be run on both. And the rest of these are also very popular, very common. The biggest thing when it comes to chassis is picking a chassis that has support in your area. Like I said, this is a heavily debated topic on what is the best chassis, but personally, I think it's all about what is around you. Where can you get support? Where can you get parts? So do a little bit of research. Find out if there's teams near you, if there's dealers near you, and go with a chassis where you can learn from others who know the product, and then just have access to parts. That's the biggest thing. Next, we're going to talk about the clutch. For the 206 product, there are 3 clutches that are allowed. You have the Hilliard, Noram, and the Max Torque three manufacturers, that are allowed. These are all centrifugal clutches with shoes. Disc clutches are not allowed. And we'll kind of go into a little bit more depth about each manufacturer. Here we have the Hillier clutches. You have the Fury, the Flame, and the Fire. They each kind of go up in price range. So just kind of find what fits best in your price range. They're all great clutches at a great price range. You have the Fury, which is kind of your entry level. This will be your cheapest clutch. Then into the Flame, which is the most common. I've run this clutch a lot. Kind of your middle of the road price range. And then you have the Fire, which is their top of the line. Like I said, all great clutches, all very commonly used. You can find all of these clutches as well as their parts on any of the normal karting websites. Comet, Acceleration, Kart Racing, TS Racing. In any of the most popular karting parts websites, this is where you'll be able to find these clutches and parts. Each of these clutches have little springs you can see right here. This is how you'll be able to tune the clutch to adjust engagement and disengagement. You'll be able to look up just Hillier clutch spring chart, and you'll see the different colors of springs that associate with different RPM levels that will adjust engagement. Like I said, they're all great performance for a great price. Next, we have the Norium clutch, which is the Stinger. This is another great clutch, kind of middle of the price range. It has a lot of tunability. This is a clutch I've run a lot. It's super common. As you can see, it has a little bit of a different spring inside of there, but it has the same concept. You adjust the springs to adjust the engagement and disengagement. So you can look up a chart, but highly recommend this clutch as well. And then lastly, we have the Max Torque clutch, the Dragon Skin. This is what I personally run and have really enjoyed, but this is by far the most expensive clutch on the market, as well as it's very sensitive. I would not recommend it for beginners due to its sensitivity. It's very easy to kind of burn up and mess up. But as you kind of get a little bit better and have a little bit more seat time, I highly recommend the Dragon Skin. It has a super wide tuning window and great performance. Now, next thing we're going to talk about is safety gear and tools. Now that we've chosen a motor, a chassis, and a clutch, it's time for some of the essentials. Safety gear. This is one that I want to drill into everybody watching. Safety gear is not a place to save money. This is what protects you. Crashes are kind of inevitable in karting. I've flipped. I know a lot of other people who have gotten into some nasty crashes. Do not cheap out on safety gear. Spend a little bit extra money to protect yourself. And we'll kind of go into that a little bit more. I'll show pictures and kind of talk a little bit about each product that you might need. But there are tons of brands out there. All of these brands are really great stuff. So, just because I have a picture of one pulled up doesn't mean that's exactly what you need to buy. Do a little bit of research to find out what brand might fit you best in your price range. As for basic tools, I'll kind of show you a lot of your basic tools that you'll need, as well as some specialty tools. Both safety gear and these specialty tools can be found on all of your basic karting websites, like I stated before, for the clutches. And so, we'll go into a little bit more depth about that. Safety gear. We'll start with a karting suit. Now, some people just run the jacket and the jeans, but I highly recommend getting a suit. It's fire retardant, I believe. Like I said, they have tons of different brands, but this is where you'll want to start. Getting a suit, protecting you from any potential fires. Next, we have a Snell-approved helmet. You cannot run a motorcycle helmet, as well as they have like a 10-year window that they're allowed to be run in. So make sure that all of the specs are up to date, as well as Snell-approved. There are tons of different brands out there: Bell, Arai, HJC, Stilo. Tons of different brands. Pick one that fits your price range, but make sure it's Snell-approved. This is our head that we're talking about. Make sure that we protect our head and our brains. Next, we have a rib protector. I'm not sure if this is mandatory. I believe some people don't run them, but I don't know why they would want to inflict so much pain on themselves. I've broken ribs. It's not fun. Get a good rib protector. Protect your body. I think that one's kind of self-explanatory. Next is gloves. Again, tons of different brands out there. And there will be size charts on all of this stuff. So karting suits, gloves, shoes, we'll get into helmets. They'll all have size charts where you can find what size will fit you best. Now we go and we talk about shoes. Karting shoes are not mandatory. Some people run normal tennis shoes. Other people run like wrestling shoes, which is what I did in the beginning. The biggest difference is how thin the sole is. It allows to have better feel and quicker like reactability on the pedals. So that's why I personally run karting shoes, just because it allows for you to have a little bit better feel of the pedals, but it is not required. And then lastly, for the safety gear, we have neck braces. Now, neck braces are required from kids all the way up until the senior class in every series, no matter what motor package, anything like that. Neck braces are required. But when it goes to like CKNA events, which are the national race events for the 206 product, neck braces are required for everybody. So it's something good to have in your bag. And it's protecting your neck and your spine, which is, something really, really important. So highly recommend having a neck brace, even if you don't plan on running national stuff. It'll help you keep your neck a little bit more stable. In the beginning, your neck will get really, really tired out after, 20, 30 laps. So having a neck brace will kind of keep your head up a little bit more and just protect you. Next, we have tire gauges. Tires are one of the most important things in karting. Each tire has different pressures at which they react best. And as you kind of turn more laps, you'll learn more and more about it. But the importance of spending a little bit extra money on a tire gauge is important. Don't just buy an average tire gauge that you would use on your truck. Having the tire gauge be accurate enough to go down to the 10th of a pound is really, really important. And as you kind of progress through karting, you'll start to figure that one out. And you'll also start to see what's common around you, like the Unipro and the Prism gauges are really, really common, but they're also a little bit more expensive. So they have plenty of options out there that will do exactly what you need, be accurate enough, go down to the 10th of a pound, and you won't have to spend a ton of extra money. Next, we have snipers. This is used to align the front end, adjust camber, and toe, that kind of thing, which you'll learn more as you progress through karting and learn more. But this is something that is mandatory to have in the toolbox. If you get in any sort of accident, this will help reset your front end, set it back to how it's supposed to be. And there'll be people around the track who will be willing to help you with this whole process, as it is a little bit confusing at first. Next, we have some of the essential tools that you will need. The tools kind of go back to the whole chassis talk. So if you choose a European chassis, it will all be metric tools that you will need, obviously. But if you choose an American-made chassis, the fasteners will most likely be SAE. So just make sure you do a little bit of research about your chassis and then get tools that will fit the fasteners that will be on the chassis, obviously. But just a normal wrench set, Allen set, socket set, impact and drill. This is not mandatory, but it definitely makes your life a whole lot easier. So this is what I would recommend. Next, we have a chain breaker. Now, you can run 219 chain or 35 chain. It's really personal preference. I run 219 just because that's what we prefer. But when you go to buy a chain, make sure that you buy a chain breaker that is the correct size, whether it's 35 chain or 219. And this will allow you, when you are putting different gears on the cart, to shorten the chain or make the chain longer so that everything fits. Next, we have chain lube. This is versatile. There's tons of different brands. Again, this just makes sure everything runs a little bit smoother, but definitely a necessity. Next, we have a gas can. You'll see these VP cans, very, very common, 5-gallon tanks all around the track. But obviously, this is not a necessity. You could use any gas tank from anywhere. Just make sure that we're able to get gas into the go-kart. Next, we have a cart stand. Again, there's tons of different cart stands. There's electric stands. They have these manual stands. They have single-person stands, double stackers. Whatever fits in your price range, we just want to make sure that we're able to get the cart to grid, as you most likely will not be able to drive the cart to grid at majority of events. So we definitely will need a cart stand. Now that we've kind of talked about carts and gear and kind of a little bit about everything, the most important thing that I want to make sure everybody understands is seat time is what's going to allow you to get better. Support your local tracks. Seat time, like I said, is the most important thing. Just go out, turn a bunch of laps, trial and error, test things. If it doesn't work, change it back. This will allow your driver to learn the most, better themselves, and then it will also allow for you to learn a little bit more about the go-kart, how to tune it, what changes do, and just become comfortable with your equipment. Next thing is meet people. Join Facebook groups, ask questions, go up to people at the track. Everybody is here to see you succeed. that we all want to help you. And joining Facebook groups will be a lot of help. You'll be able to ask questions there where tons of people will answer you, as well as you'll be able to see other people who have asked questions, go through the comments, see what the answers to said question was. So yeah, I think that's kind of the most important thing. Seat time, seat time, seat time. It's what's going to make you better. It's what's going to allow you to learn. And just supporting your local track. I think that kind of wraps up everything for today's episode. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me on any of my social media. I'm here to help. Thank you guys so much again for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys on the next one.